Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle and I'm currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. I did take a brief break from narrating an unlikely story, but now I'm back. And I'm back. So in the previous video, I talked about my mom visiting me in Atlanta, January 2023. And I just had this feeling while she was there that I felt like the reason why Brandon was going through the things that he was going through was because of his father. I went over his mom's Facebook page and I just had that feeling. Now, I did find out later on why I felt that way, but in this video, I'm going to talk about all the other things that happened in the month of January. So here it goes. So my mom ends up leaving Atlanta to go back to New Jersey, January 14. And by the 16th, y'all, which was my dad's 2-year anniversary of passing away, I remember just being overwhelmed that day, feeling very sad. I remember I cried. I was on my couch crying. And what really pissed me off too during the time I was crying was that I knew that Caitlin and Brandon had something to do with my father's passing. And I remember just feeling so agitated, so irritated, so frustrated. Like, man, how can people just be so evil? Like doing witchcraft on people just because of what? Because of a marriage that she didn't even have. So it was just so frustrating. Like, man, people are willing to do whatever to get whatever they want, even if it means unaliving someone else's family member, So I was just on my couch, just so frustrated with Caitlin and Brandon. And most importantly, Brandon is like, why would you do this? Like, why would you go along with evil? So I got so frustrated to the point that I just decided to go on Instagram because I didn't want to soak in the negative thoughts that I had on my couch at that moment. So I went on IG and guess what, y'all? I went on IG and I came across a video of a man. He made a video. I didn't follow him. The video just popped up on my feed and it said in the video, the man said, "Give it to God. Whatever that thing is, give it to him. Give it over to God." I remember the guy just saying that in the video, and the video was like short. It was a short video. So in that moment, I knew that the Lord was using that video to minister to me because, y'all, I held on so tight to what Brandon and Caitlin did to me. Like, honestly, I felt like I had every right to want them to be judged. I had every right to not forgive them because like, man, you try to ruin my life. My dad is no longer here. So I have every right to want them to go through judgment. I have every right for bad things to happen to them. Like, they deserve it. Like, I want justice for what they did to me. But in that video, that man said, "Give it over to God. Give it over to him." I was like, okay, Lord, I'm listening to you. So later on in the month of January 20th, I decided to open a new account with a different bank because I didn't have a bank account at this time. So I opened up a new checking account with a different bank. That was on January 20th. On the 21st, y'all, I had a dream. And I'm going to tell you about this dream. Okay? So in the dream, I remember being at my old high school in Nigeria. So I went to a boarding school for high school in Nigeria. I remember being in front of my hostel. Okay? I remember being there. It's nighttime in the dream. And there was this guy. This guy told me to pick up this particular item This item was a tower, okay? Now, here's the thing with this item. In the dream, it was common knowledge that no one should touch this tower. It's like this tower wasn't like a toy tower, but it was kind of like big in a sense. So it was common knowledge that no one is supposed to touch this tower. So this random man was kind of like threatening me to pick up the tower and give it to him. And I'm looking at him like, no. First of all, no one is supposed to touch this tower. It's common knowledge. So no, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to give it to you. Leave me alone. And he had on a suit and he was kind of like threatening me, trying to bully me into doing it. And I remember just like, no. So I remember I kind of walked off somewhere close by, but I was still around. The next thing you know, y'all, there were multiple guys that had on a suit that were threatening me to give them the tower. Not only were these guys threatening me to give them the tower, a former president was also around them. So I put two and two together. I'm like, okay, these men that are in black, they were Secret Service. And the reason why they were threatening me to give them the tower was because this former president in the dream was the one who gave them the orders to tell me to give them the tower because he wanted it. And in the dream, they just kept on pressing me. And I was like, no. And then finally, I gave in. I took the tower and I gave it to them and they left me alone. I remember immediately after I did that, y'all, I was overwhelmed with sadness because I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. Y'all, it was common knowledge not to touch this tower, but I did it. Not only did I touch it, I gave it away. So I remember walking to our ref. Our ref was the place that we had lunch, breakfast, dinner, and prep. I remember walking there just with my head down, just overwhelmed with sadness. Get into the ref. I see like my old classmates. I see people from other grades as well. I sit on the table and I'm just overwhelmed with sadness. I sit on the table and then some random woman, she comes to the table and she says, has anybody been a victim of the president, that former president in the dream? I stood up. A former high school friend of mine, she stands up as well. But when we stand up, we are standing up with shame in our face. Like we had so much shame, so much guilt, so much sadness. So we both stand up. So I'm looking like, man, I'm not the only person that was like a victim of that former president. So the woman, she sees us and she says, okay, then she leaves. I mean, she's still in the ref, but she goes like to the back or something. Like she leaves our table. So I remember just sitting back down and just being overwhelmed with sadness because I know I did something bad. So I remember getting away from the table because I saw the lady on another table and I went to her and I said, oh my goodness, like I did something so bad. Like they threatened me to give them the tower. I know I shouldn't have done it. I'm so sad. And then the woman, she consoles me. She says, don't worry. We're going to take care of it. I'm going to help you. We're going to take care of it. That was the end of the dream. Okay? So now let me get into the dream interpretation. And this is where I'm going to end the video. So in the dream, I was symbolic for Brandon. Okay? The men in black that were threatening me to give them this tower, right? They were symbolic for demons. The tower itself was symbolic for Brandon's destiny. The former president in the dream was symbolic for the devil. Okay? So the devil had sent demons to influence Brandon into giving over his destiny. Because when Brandon transferred my destiny, or when he did the destiny transfer attempt, because it didn't go through. When Brandon did the destiny transfer attempt, when he did the whole sacrifice, he was also transferring his destiny too. He was also sacrificing his destiny too, whether he knew it or not. So that was what that meant in that dream. So in the dream, I knew that I wasn't supposed to touch the tower. Y'all, you're not supposed to touch your destiny. You're especially going through like spiritual stuff, going through demonic means, doing that. You're not supposed to do that. Whatever destiny that God has given you, that belongs to God. You're not supposed to tamper with that. You're not supposed to go through demonic means, go through voodoo or witchcraft in order to get in touch with your destiny and sell it over. You're not supposed to do that. So that was what that meant in the dream. So in the dream, I knew I wasn't supposed to touch the tower. Brandon was not supposed to tamper with his destiny and sell it over and sacrifice it, right? So in the dream, I kept on saying, no, no, no. Y'all, Brandon never wanted to get into what Caitlyn was into. Now, here's the thing. I will say this. I don't know if Brandon knew that Caitlyn was a witch back in 2016. I don't even think that he knew that she was a witch in 2020. He probably added two and two together by 2021. I don't know if Brandon knew, but he did know that she was off. And he did not want to get into whatever activity she was into. But that influence, y'all, Brandon was around a lot of demonic influence. And it made sense as to why God had me pray for him. Because there was nobody around him that was of Christ. All of them were lost, just like he was lost. And a lot of them were into evil stuff that he didn't know. He just trusted that this person holds this title in my life, so I'm just going to go along with whatever advice they're giving me. A lot of people around Brandon were under demonic influence, and they were passing that influence on to him. This is why God had me pray for him. This is why God stopped me in my tracks of what I was doing in my life to pray for him. So, yeah, so Brandon did the whole destiny transfer attempt. Now, I will say this. The destiny transfer did not go through because Caitlyn was not living my life. Yes, Brandon was over there. Yes, they had a business going on. But whatever they had going on, she had a counterfeit version of my life. She did not have my life. Whatever God had for me, God made a covenant with me to give it to me, not with Caitlyn. Caitlyn cannot steal my life. Caitlyn cannot steal my blessings. Caitlyn cannot steal the promises that God has over my life. So whatever life that Caitlyn was living with Brandon, it was a counterfeit version of my life. Okay? So I give away the tower in the dream. Brandon did the sacrifice. After that, I was sad. Brandon knew while he was in Oklahoma that his life wasn't the same. That things in his life was just not what it's supposed to be. He probably didn't understand the spiritual aspect of it, but he just knew that things were wrong in his life, but he kept it to himself. I get to the ref in the dream, and this random woman pulls up and says, "Hey, has anyone been a victim of the former president?" I stand up, and a former friend of mine from high school, she stands up too. An old friend of mine from high school, she stands up. Y'all, this was where things in this dream kind of get interesting, like the revelation. In the dream, I was symbolic for Brandon. The old friend of mine in the dream that also stood up, she was symbolic for Caitlyn's ex-husband. Yep. Y'all, not only did Caitlyn did witchcraft on Brandon, like the love spells, the separation spells, and all that, y'all, Caitlyn did witchcraft on her ex-husband. That was why he married her. Y'all, any man that took Caitlyn down the aisle, that walked her down the aisle, just know that manipulation and witchcraft was involved with that. Caitlyn's ex-husband only married her because she did witchcraft on him. Thank God that God got him out of that. So y'all, you gotta be careful. Y'all, please dedicate your life to God, to Jesus. And when I say dedicate your life, dedicate every area of your life to Christ. Y'all, we don't have to do life on our own. Invite Jesus into your finances. Invite Jesus into your health. Invite Jesus into your relationship. Ask Jesus, should I date this person? Now, some of you may not ask Jesus because you don't want to hear Jesus say no. Because you don't care. You're like, I'm dating this person. I don't care if Jesus says no. I'm dating them. Well, if you do that, you're going to see the reason why Jesus doesn't want you to date that person. Okay? Please, y'all, we only have one life to live. Okay? God has what's best for us. He knows what we need. We have to trust him. We need to trust that he is guiding us through his Holy Spirit. Okay? Please, y'all. The times we're living in, it's dark. And deception is increasing. Okay? Now, there's nothing new under the sun. The devil doesn't have any new tricks. But the enemy is really ramping up deception, manipulation, control because he knows that his time is short. So please dedicate your choices, your life, your well-being to the Lord, and he will guide you into all righteousness, okay? What is good, what is best for you, he will guide you, but you gotta dedicate your life to him. You gotta trust that he has what's best for you, okay? So, yeah, the other friend in the dream, she was symbolic for Caitlin's ex-husband. So, the last part of it was that I went up to the lady and I said, I just became so sad and telling her like, I'm just so sad for what I did. I did something bad. And she said that she was going to help me, that, that everything's going to be okay. She's going to help me. That lady in the dream, she was symbolic for an angel. Okay. And here's the thing. God is going to help Brandon. Now, here's the thing. Even though God is going to help Brandon come out of the situation that he got himself into, God is going to discipline Brandon, and he's going to discipline him while he's in his judgment season. Okay. God is a good father, and he disciplines those that he loves. So God is going to give Brandon a good spanking on his behind. Like, listen, next time I tell you something, listen. Just going to give him a spanking. But yeah, God is going to deliver Brandon out of Jezebel, out of the works of the devil, out of every evil that's going on with him. God is going to deliver him out of that. But God is going to discipline him as a good father. Okay? So that was a dream. And so after that dream, y'all, I decided to go on a fast. Y'all, I got revelation during that fast, and I'm going to talk about it. So if you're liking an unlikely story, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please also share my videos as well. And until next time, y'all. Bye.